it's February 8th and I'm here to make an update. You know, I actually already recorded this, but the autofocus was like totally doing crazy stuff and it looked horrible, and now the battery's dying. So here we go. I'm gonna just try and make this and get it out there. This last week, I have had no diet soda still. Yay! And I've actually had several opportunities to have it, and I have chosen not to, so I'm feeling very good about that. Some of you may wonder why I am so excited about this triumph of not drinking diet soda. But honestly, what was I saying? Some of you might wonder why I'm so excited about this victory of not having diet soda, but the truth is that in the whole history of me trying to lose weight, whenever I've been on a diet, I've always told myself, well, it's okay, at least I can have Diet Coke. It's kind of like my go-to sweet that isn't caloric. And so this time around, on a journey to health, cutting this out is a big triumph for me because I don't have it to fall back on. On that same train of thought, I was talking on the Facebook fan page yesterday about Zevia, which is a stevia sweetened soda. And I wanted to get your feedback on it and see if any of you have tried it. I have had a couple of you recommend it to me, and I've just never really looked into it until yesterday. And now I'm really excited because they sell it everywhere, and it's an all-natural soda. And at first I was like, yeah, okay, it's sweetened with stevia, but it's not natural. But the more I looked into the ingredients and read through the FAQ on Zevia's website, the more I realized, you know, this actually it looks legitimate, like a really all-natural carbonated beverage that's yummy. But there were some mixed reviews when I mentioned it on the Facebook fan page. A lot of you said you'd tried it but you didn't like it, and several more of you said that you love it. So I'm just wondering if you've tried it and what your thoughts were. I'm probably gonna go buy some soon. There's so many flavors. I think I want to try the cream soda one. But anyway, so that would be a nice replacement for me, to be able to have something sweet and bubbly just on that off occasion when I really am craving it. What else did I want to mention? I don't know if I have enough battery for this, but I was trying to tell a story in my last video, and I'm going to try and do it again. I frequently get the question, what do you mean by love yourself, forgive yourself, be kind to yourself? And so I wanted to talk about how I came to understand that that's how I wanted to live, and why I'm always saying that this is what you need to do. What does that really mean? Well, a few videos ago I was talking about everything being in black or white and how we have to find that gray center where we're not in the extremes. Because in my life, that's basically how I've always lived. I've always been totally into something or completely opposite and just rejecting it. I should give some examples. So when I was 19, I was sitting alone in my apartment and I started to reflect on my life, and it was kind of the first time that I had stepped outside of myself and outside of my experiences and gone back and reviewed my behavior and my choices and why I was the way I was and why I was doing what I was doing. And I started to see a disturbing trend, which was that I was always either all or nothing with everything. My life seemed to be made up of these boom and bust cycles, if you will, where I was either super into something or I was completely not into it at all. And I had this experience with money, with my weight loss, with the way that I worked, with the way that I hung out with my friends, and I didn't like it at all. And so I decided to focus on money first because I was in a lot of debt. When I was 19, I was $12,000 in debt. Kids, don't get credit cards. Learn your lessons through me. And I was not making very much more than that. I was making maybe $25,000 a year. And when you're making only that much and you're that much in debt, it's almost impossible to keep up. I felt like I was drowning in bills. And I saw a trend when I looked at my spending where I would spend a couple of weeks just totally engrossed in shopping, and I would buy new outfits, and I would go out and eat really expensive meals, and I would go out drinking with my friends, and I'd get my nails done and get fancy expensive haircuts and all that. And then I would eventually get the bills and then go into like a guilt spiral and not buy anything for several weeks and just commit, I'm never buying anything again, I'm doing everything at home, But it was a very depressing cycle to be in, because I would either be totally on the high of shopping and going crazy or totally on the low of guilt and debt and misery. And I decided I wanted to change that. So going into my 20s, I decided I was going to find a balance. And it took me a long time to do this. I made a budget, and it was really hard to stick to. But I learned over time that really the way to be is to have both worlds. not the guilt trip and not the total mindless spending, but to have a little bit of each, to have a budget where I was able to pay all my bills on time and actually work at chipping off the debt, but also have a little money to go out to dinner sometimes with friends, or go out to a movie, or go out and get my hair cut nice, and not have to feel terribly guilty about it later because I knew that I had budgeted for it. And that's what I mean by being kind to yourself. I followed the same process when I started losing weight. So after I got out of debt, which was 2008, that's when I started making videos on YouTube about my weight loss, because I decided that I had to follow that same process of kindness, of gentleness, of finding the gray area between black and white with my food. Because I would go on month-long binges, and then I would feel totally horrible and guilty and think I'm just such a terrible person, and go the opposite direction on this super strict diet or crash diet until I couldn't stand it anymore. And then the guilt of not being able to keep to the diet and not being able to actually lose that much weight would cause me to go into an even worse spiral of binging and eating everything in sight and just eating the worst possible choices for food. So I decided in order to lose weight, I had to find the middle ground. I had to find a way to eat healthy and responsibly and in the right kind of portions most of the time, and still have a little fudge room to have some alcohol or some sweets or something when I wanted. And even when I started losing weight in the beginning, I still had like a binge day or a cheat day where I could really eat as much as I wanted and not feel the guilt from it. So that is what I mean. And that's a story that's very personal to me and may not have any relevance to your life. But I hope that you can see the point behind it, which is that when you are caring for yourself, when you make concessions for the things you love, but you're also sort of parenting, taking care of yourself, that you can find a middle ground. You can find a way to live gently, to intentionally enjoy the things you love without the guilt trip afterward, on one end of the spectrum or other, because a total failure leads to as much guilt as a total high that then crashes. You know, when you live that black and white lifestyle, you always have these super high highs followed by these super low lows. And it was honestly just in my desperation to not feel those super low lows that I started to try and pursue a road of balance. So when I say be kind to yourself, love yourself, forgive yourself, it means find a place where you're not going down into those super low lows, which means quelling the super high highs. And when you live in a sort of gradual up and down soft balance of kind of highs, kind of lows, kind of highs, kind of lows, life is a lot more enjoyable. And you can actually accomplish something. Because when you're having just boom and bust, you don't get anywhere. It's like you're just repeating the same cycle over and over without going forward. And if you can stop that cycle and move into a new way of being, you can actually move forward and do great things with yourself. So I hope you enjoy this. I hope the battery lasted this long, and I will see you guys next week.